Right, focus out, focus off. Positive mental attitudes. So,
I've been here, I'm not late this time.
do you guys happen to have an important Swedish test coming up?
Yes.
How did I guess? Is it your national test? When is it?
Today.
After this lesson. Right.
Swedish test. Yeah. Vi kan stora bara national test. Så jag kan gå på det. Like 5.
We can try. So, electricity bills. Yeah, why not? Who doesn't have to take the Swedish national test? Oh, you lucky people. Right, just to show that they are pretty much universal. A random, I don't understand Swedish, but I know what a kilowatt hour is. So, here the cost for 2 months, this household used up 529 kilowatt hours, and the cost was 18.4 euro per kilowatt hour, which strikes me as actually quite cheap, because we would be paying about 6 cents. And what is it, about 12 crowns to the euro? Something like that?
Yeah.
We would quite clearly don't go to IKEA or Candy World enough. Okay, so this, I don't know, that's the rental charge of the lines, usually about the same price as the bill itself. And then here's the usage, kilowatt hours, etc., etc., etc. Not that you'd be given anything so difficult in your Swedish national tests. Oh, you look so happy. Did anybody find out what their electricity bills were yesterday? Megan?
75 per month and 1,000. But it depends on if it's in summer, it's less.
So it averages out at 75 euros a month less in summer. Yeah, brilliant, good. Yeah.
400 euros.
400 a year?
Yeah.
Wow. That's everything. That's the kind of the standing charge and the usage, or just the usage?
I think it's just the usage.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's still quite cheap though. Yes, good. Sean?
Around 1,200 a year.
Okay, yeah.
1,500.
1,500?
2,256.
Ooh.
That was like last
Month.
Oh.
Last year.
Yeah.
2,000. Big omakotitalo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2,500.
Very big omakotitalo? Yeah.
Around 220.
Not such a big number. Yeah, 720. Was that the total?
Yeah.
Yours is a new place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing about a new house, very new house, the insulation is much better. So there's less energy lost. So that's really, is yours older house? No, it's a newer house. It's just very, very big. Yeah, maybe a big electric sauna. Yeah. Okay. Mine is an older house and it is probably about 1,000 a year. Okay. Good. More in winter than it is in summer. So we were talking about how the demand for electricity can vary throughout the year. So this site very, very nerdy site. I find endlessly fascinating. This site, it shows how much energy, electrical energy, is being bought in or sent out of Finland right now. It's updated every few minutes. So we've got a network of power stations generating electricity. Where are our nearest power stations? Oulujoki, yeah. Generating it from water. Where else? We don't just generate it from Oulujoki. You know those great big wind turbines? Yeah, and elsewhere. They're also connected up. There is also a connection from the waste burning Poltojäte site in, where is that? Laanila? Or is it further out? Where does our waste get burned? The new energy efficient, get rid of all our waste. Where was that? I can't remember where it was. But we've got several different contributions for generating electricity. How do we know, or how do the people who do all that generation know that the right amount of electricity is being generated? Well, you start off with guesswork. You don't want to run out. Over time, you can work out whether you've got exactly the right amount. And the idea is that you don't want to waste money generating too much, and you certainly don't want to generate too little, because everybody goes cold in winter there. And we have had problems in Finland that we cannot generate our own total amounts of electricity very easily, because we haven't got the resources. Traditionally, we haven't got the coal, we haven't got the oil, so therefore we have to import electricity from nearby countries. How do we do that? Well, they've just got wires connecting to us. Okay, and the main connections are up through the top of Norway. There's a cable under the sea, cables, cables, cables here. Okay, so the net at the moment, why am I not right? We are consuming 10.581 megawatts right now. We are producing 8.3 of it, so we must be importing 2.2 megawatts. Yeah.
What do you mean by going under the sea? Like, is there literally something going through the
It's a
sea?
great big wire.
Where? Is it like visible?
It's under the sea.
Yeah, but like, what does it look like?
See, it's like red. See, men on the pohja.
Yeah, the sea base, seabed. Yeah. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. What was it called? S-Link 2.
So this goes between, this is, for instance, from Finland to Estonia. There are 2 cables, here and here. What does it actually look like? Good question. It's a very thick plastic coated cable as far as I know. That's what it looks like as it was being laid.
They just like drop it, or did they like secure it?
That's a big beefy cable.
Ew.
Yeah, they're generally just dropped under the sea and they fall onto the seabed. You've got them across the Atlantic and everything, yeah.
What if like a fish eats it?
Yeah, it won't.
Shark.
Fish proof, shark proof. They're big. Yes, they can be cut.
Then what
They
happens?
can be destroyed. They're not terrorist proof.
What happens
Then the
then?
link is left. That the link is broken.
Just like the electricity goes through the water and all the fish die. That is so.
Yeah. Quite scary, isn't it? I would totally guess that where they hit land, those areas are massively protected. It's not like you're walking along the beach and there's this cable. Yeah. But you know, on lakes, you get the warning signs that there are power cables nearby, so you've got to be careful. You know, warning, there's a cable down there. You know, we've got networks of them all over the lakes, but there are just very, very big ones under oceans, under the sea. I wonder if there is a map of undersea cables. Isn't the internet a wonderful thing? Wow. Is that real? That's what I'm questioning. Okay, this was collect. Oh, okay, let's take out the future ones. Can I take out the future ones? That's a screen capture. I can't take it out. Darn. Okay. Some of these might be future cables, so they might not be real, but certainly there's lots of them across there. Actually, yeah, our one up there is included. It is weird, isn't it, to think of that? That's how the first non-satellite telephone calls were made, and they actually came through cables. Some of them are not electrical cables, they're fiber optic cables. So they're made out of very, very fine strands of glass. Okay. I doubt that you could see where they go into. Could you see? Right, what's the name of the cave? What's the name of the Greg obviously has a lot of time on his hands. No, he surely can't. Oh, oh, that's really nice. Botnia. Okay, so it's not Oulu at all, it's Vasa area. But you could, yeah, you could find the starting point and the end point and do stuff with that. It's quite important that there isn't just one under Atlantic cable because terrorists could come along and destroy that. Okay, back to here. Yep, it's changed a little bit. Gone down. We're giving less to Estonia because Estonia don't need it so much. Now, what does this actually mean? Let's look at the units, the megawatts. So at the moment, 299 megawatts are being sent over to Estonia. That I usually, 303, it's gone up, someone's put some kettles on. I usually think of that as 1,000 watts is, or 1 kilowatts is a kettle. So these are millions of watts. That's the equivalent of Estonia wanting the electricity for 300,000 kettles at this moment. Okay, we are taking in nothing from Norway. Doesn't surprise me at the moment. How does Norway generate most of their electricity? Possibly, actually. I was thinking of water power up there. Here, it wouldn't be oil burning. It would for the this supplies the Lapland area. This is from waterfalls, and probably there's quite a lot of water melting here. So the rivers that might be opening up, maybe they've got enough electricity being generated. It's a lot cheaper to get the electricity locally here than it is to import it all the way up. So, for instance, it might say, okay, we're selling 300 megawatts to Estonia, but we're taking in 61 from Russia. Why don't we just put those over to the east of Finland? Well, it depends if the network of power cables can cope with it or not. It depends on the price as well. Maybe the Estonians will give us lots more money for the electricity than the Russians are charging us. It's all about supply and demand. Okay, but this value that we are consuming at the moment at 10:30 on a Tuesday morning, 10.565 megawatts, that has to be very, very carefully monitored. Because if for whatever reason that suddenly goes up, we've got to know where to get the electricity from to cater for that, or if it drops. And these are going to change throughout the year. Okay, how does the electricity get around the country? Finnish national grid. Okay, it is called Fingrid. Okay. This is a map of all the power lines. Okay. So when you're out in the forest, you're going skiing around at Aurenmeyer or so, you're going underneath lots of electricity cables. They could be 400,000 volts, the blue lines, 220,000 volts, or 110,000 volts. It is cheaper to transport high voltages than it is to transport lower voltages. Just there's less heat loss. The biggest lines will come out of the biggest power stations, and we've got a big centre of generating power here. And down in the south, we've got the nuclear power stations. I think they're here and here. I think they are. But there aren't that many of the big blue lines. They tend to go to big centres of population. What do you do in Kilpisjärvi? You're not on the big grid. Do you have electricity? Yeah. You generate your own. You've got your own little local grids. You've got your own little generators, own little wind turbines up there. Oh, your own little areas of burning all your waste and generating it, but it's not connected up. It's just not economical enough. And you get quite a lot from Norway as well. Okay. Yawns, I hear. Yeah, Dipanka.
During a like emergency situation, does Finland have any emergency supply of electricity or something? Like,
Yeah. Every connection it's got abroad, it can use, and it can also give out electricity to them. It is, if you are going to try and, I assume you mean like terrorist attack, if someone blew up a power station, or if there was a great big storm and some of the power lines went down. Ideally, you would then have the electricity going through a different route. So, for instance, if this route, Oulu to, I guess that's is that Rovaniemi? Yeah. If that went down, is it? Because they've got the names of all the power stations here. If that went down, then the electricity could go a different route along. Here, it's vulnerable. Certainly up here, Ivalo would be vulnerable. It's possible if there was a big power outage in Ivalo, a whole huge region of hundreds of kilometers squared would lose their electricity because there's only one big cable network going up there. Whereas down in the south, then there are other ways around it. Now, if it were a terrorist attack down in the south, then there would be a problem, but it could easily be bypassed. If there was a terrorist attack up in Ivalo, there would be a big problem. Luckily, Ivalo isn't likely to have a terrorist attack, hopefully. You never know anywhere here. What would be kind of the point of a terrorist attack up there? What is the point of a terrorist attack anywhere? When you've got countries that are a little bit more aggressive than Finland, then yes, their electricity networks are incredibly vulnerable. And I must admit, I am surprised, so glad that there haven't been any major attacks and bombings on power stations. Because it's an obvious way to affect very, very many people, sadly. Okay. If you fly an aeroplane into a big status symbol like the World Trade Center, yes, it gets a message across. But if you flew an aeroplane into a nuclear reactor by a city, you actually are going to end up killing very, very many more people. And there are ideas about making nuclear reactors aeroplane bomb proof. I don't think I believe any of them. There are quite a lot of no-fly zones around nuclear reactors, but I wonder what the US did with their nuclear reactors. Where did they build them? Which map do I trust? Where are their nuclear reactors? Each one of those dots is a nuclear reactor. So any of those get hit, going to wipe out a very large amount of the population. Are you feeling optimistic? So, yeah, there is very, very high security around them. Any questions? Yeah.
if this information could like potentially be really like or make a country really like vulnerable and stuff, then why is it so easily accessible for everyone?
Because we don't live in North Korea, where there's a lot of web censorship. So we have got a certain amount of right to access to information. If you wanted, you could easily go online and learn how to build a bomb. Yeah. Does that mean that that information shouldn't be available online? It's what you do with it. A map of where all the nuclear reactors are, you could travel around the whole of the world and you could find them and you could post it and nobody could stop you. Some people might get suspicious. So in some countries, if I spent 2 hours preparing a lesson on the vulnerability of US nuclear reactors to attacks by chemical bombs as a teacher in some countries of the world, if I did that and the government was looking at my internet search history, I would get flagged up as a possible warning. If in my emails I also mentioned a few words and a few things, and my eBay search history showed I was looking for various chemicals, I would get the Secret Services visiting. And I bet that would happen in Britain, far more than it would in Finland. So in some countries, what you are looking at online is monitored very, very carefully, because that's how these potential terrorists are tracked down. Now, I realise that by telling you where all these nuclear reactors are and giving you the idea that flying an aeroplane into a nuclear reactor is worse than flying an aeroplane into the World Trade Center, I could have planted the seed in one of your brains to do something with a terrorist bomb. If I told you how to make an explosive out of 2 common household chemicals, am I then to blame if somebody goes home and does it? Actually, that's an ethics question that teachers face. Or is it your decision and therefore your fault? Who do you blame? The lawyers, if I told you how to make a bomb, because I could easily do that, the lawyers in some countries would have my butt on the line. Because you're children, you're not responsible. Does it mean having that is the internet so dangerous that we should restrict access to it because it tells you bad things? Ken's looking up how to make chemical bombs from household goods. Yeah.
That wouldn't they shoot you down if you flew like above or close to some of those nuclear places?
Yes.
Like every one of them, even
probably. A friend of mine works on the network that's attached to the Hoover Dam, water purification. That's another good idea. What happens if you contaminate the water supply of the West Coast? All these places are massively vulnerable to terrorist attack. So she works in the water purification plant. There are protocols as to what to do if aeroplanes start flying over. They're on the kind of the military radar for an area of great sensitivity. So yeah, something comes into the airspace above there. The Air Force jets will be sent out. They will try and work out what's going on. Should this person, should this plane, if it doesn't respond to radio requests, should it be taken out? Should it be shot down?
Have these things just come after the 9/11?
No.
Or have they always?
They have generally always been there, but they have become far more sensitive after 9/11. So there are far more no-fly zones.
Why didn't they then do anything for the 9/11? They saw that it was going really low, and they didn't like.
It happened too quickly.
But did they know what it?
This is where you've got all sorts of conspiracy theories.
That is so weird. When she said conspiracy theories, I really forgot this page.
Which page? As what happened with 9/11, as far as I know, there were 4 plots timed to happen at the same time, so there was maximum confusion. If you have air traffic control lose contact with one aircraft, there could be a huge variety of reasons, and you don't actually always assume that you've got a terrorist about to fly the plane. That was new. So contact goes down, mobile phone messages started going out, because in America they could use the mobile phones on the airplanes, that something bad was wrong, and something was likely to happen. And the forces, Air Force, the military, they got taken by surprise. They didn't realise, or maybe they could have realised, depending on conspiracy theories, they didn't realise anything was actually going to happen. And since then, so many bits and pieces have been added to planes so that signals can still be sent out, messages can still be received, people aren't allowed in the cockpit, to the point that if the pilots collapse in the cockpit, nothing can be done. That's further caused problems. There was that case of that Lufthansa pilot who had a breakdown, managed to get his co-pilot to go to the toilet, lock the cabin door, and flew the plane into the side of the mountains. That's because the pilot had a mental breakdown. So now they've got to stop that from being able to happen. But if there is an override to get into the cockpit, then other people could take it over. Flying is still one of the safest forms of transport. You've got far more chance of having a road accident than you have of being in a crashed aeroplane. This site, how nerdy can you get? Following aeroplanes. Oh look, tells you all sorts of details.
Why would they have that?
You can get this on an app on your phone. It's really amazing when you've got someone flying over from a foreign country and you're sat there watching the planes. Yes, I am that sad person. Have they taken off yet?
There's actually a web page that if you type in the boat's name, you can actually see what road the boat goes to.
Boats as well. Is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? What if your motives are dodgy?
It's still a good thing. You're just you that is the bad thing.
Yeah. I first saw this when I was sat at somebody's summer cottage and we were looking at an aeroplane going over, and my friend said, "Oh, that's so and so coming over from Japan. It's 11 kilometers up." Like, it's not 11 kilometers up. It can't be. You can't see 11 kilometers. Oh yes, you can. Argument proved it on this. And I knew exactly where it had come from or where it's going. This is an incredible site. There are some airlines that don't follow it. It's not
Nobody following going from Oulu.
nobody flying going from Oulu. It's Oulu. Come on.
Right now.
Yes, it's real time.
Wait, so what World Trade Center?
Like, give it time to catch up.
The one
That's the no-fly zone.
This isn't anything to do with electricity. Sorry.
Karen,
Yeah.
was the World Trade Center like a no-fly zone?
No, not at the time. I don't think it was.
Can you go to the
That's a little bit boring. Heathrow is not very busy.
Does it show all the planes that are just?
No, this is a tiny amount of the planes.
I mean, like.
Are they all
The
moving?
ones that don't move.
Crash. Sorry. Sorry, go on.
The ones that don't move, are they just like still showing the ones that are just waiting to?
Yeah, yeah. I'm really shocked at this. There's a tiny amount. Let's go to.
So they're not up now. They're not like our,
No, they're not, and I'm wondering if there is. This is a tiny fraction of what there have been.
yeah.
What are the
It's-
boxes? Is that?
Looks like.
I'm sure.
All are the
Technical
part.
Yeah.
They're the ones who drop your
Like
baggage
a little
to rather than
car.
send money to the other country.
Don't know.
I'm showing New York.
New York.
Sometimes.
No, can you go up to just the
That
American
means-
side?
that means like-
That like, if you just like zoom in.
Oh, there you
Oh my god.
I think
Go to Dulles Airport.
Stalker, and then you like they just know where your plane is. So I'm gonna be like waiting for Trump to land and they'll.
You can bet he's not on here.
Is there a Dulles Airport there?
Does it show private planes? Yeah.
Not always. Some it does.
Like there's.
You can pronounce his land. I mean,
Okay. Now, do you remember the Malaysian Airlines plane that just disappeared?
yeah.
That was identified from flight radar. There were people who were tracking that
What thing?
plane, MH371. It just disappeared. Yeah, there were people who were tracking that because they had relatives on it, and it disappeared. So actually, this can be pretty scary if you're watching someone on a plane and the plane disappears. Yeah, there have recently been cases where that's been identified. Now I know we've gone a long way from this electricity, which isn't the world's most exciting. But this whole thing about the internet, if it's basically if somebody sees it, if there is data, somebody will post it. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? In fact, who can control it? We don't have much control on an individual level about our own privacy. Somebody takes a video of us and posts it. Yeah, okay, in some cases you can take legal action, but it doesn't get rid of it. So you are faced with that on an individual level. That is really, really scary. Governments are faced with that on a huge level. I've never seen them at Oulu Airport, but you can get at some airports plane filters. So there are people who sit there and take photos because they like aeroplanes. They record the numbers of the aeroplanes. You get them doing it with trains. You get them doing it with boats. It's like they're collecting it. Yeah, and some airports actually banned plane spotters because they thought they were spies. You have plane spotters, they can put the data up there. Some countries, some airlines have just said, forget it, let's just have all the data up there. Let's just have all the airlines. Look at that. Look at that little queue of airlines. All of those, QT, that airline, quite clearly, Qatar Airways, doesn't mind. Sorry? You want to go to Estonia?
But what's that one missing plane? Was it ever found?
No. MH3, that's the other really bizarre thing. MH371 disappeared and was never found, even with all the technology.
Where was
Would
it?
it be like that?
Was it on land or?
It was above sea.
What? Which sea?
You or was it 370? Sorry. Right. Sorry, MH flight 370 going from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. It disappeared. It had a very odd flight path, so it turned. It didn't take the right route. That was its last contact, but it might have flown in all sorts of different directions. They don't know if the pilot was in control of it or not. The aeroplane went down into the ocean, and because of ocean currents, it could have ended up with debris in Australia. There were loads of searches from around Australia. It was a huge mystery. Nobody was admitting to it being a bomb. They need to identify, or they need to get hold of the flight recorders. You can't if you don't have the data. When a plane goes down, they're like little trackers that send out signals as to where the plane could be. They stopped broadcasting after about 3 months. It could be anywhere there. And apparently some debris has now started washing up somewhere, I think, along here in Malaysia. So sadly, nobody ever knew. So every single person who was on that flight had their background investigated for terrorist things. Was there anything where the airline might have had a disagreement with a particular government? Were there any important politicians on there, etc., etc., etc.?
Were there?
Oh, if you look at any airline, somebody with connections to politicians are going to be on there. But no, it seemed to be innocent. The pilot is getting the blame for it at the moment, but nobody will ever know. Sorry?
Isn't he dead? Probably.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but then there's, if the pilot is deemed at fault, then there could be legal action taken against the airline for employing the pilot.
Oh yeah.
As well, because somebody has to pay for the compensation for it. So yeah, I think it's time for a break, and I'll desperately try and pull us back to electricity. Go and have a 3-minute break.
I don't remember any song. I when I went to pitch, I was like, Tracy had 6, 5, 8, 9. And then it was like, give me 200,000 and I will something and stuff and stuff like that.
Hello, Karen.
Hello. What's up?
Yeah.
Not a lot. Go on.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know, but we're like moving soon after school to UK.
Okay, so that link I've just put on there gives us the state of the power system at the moment. And what is it? We were on a fairly warm day, warm by standards for the month. Okay, how does the consumption change throughout the year? There is, if you want to look for it, there is so much data available. Oh, this is such a nerd fest. Here we have got, for this week, in red. It's all right, you don't have to write it. Oh, sorry, I've locked her out. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. I got told you were out the room and I forgot. Here we've got the amount of electricity in red that is being used at the moment, and in black the amount that is being generated. So if we look at the last month, you can see that there's some demand that goes up, sometimes it goes down. Ideally, for the Finnish economy, we would like the black line to be above the red, so that we are then selling extra electricity. We are energy self-sufficient. You must have heard about the arguments for the Pyhäjoki nuclear power plant. Big controversial issue. One very big thing that was on the agenda 10, 15 years ago when it was being proposed. Finland needs more of its own electricity generation because we're too reliant on other countries, mainly Russia. Okay? We don't want to be buying in our energy from other countries. Now, a nuclear reactor at Pyhäjoki is going to help. Those lines are going to come closer together. But it's not going to solve the problem. We are always, because of not having enough natural resources, we are always going to need to buy in some electricity. Okay. Now,
Is there any country that doesn't have to buy anything?
Iceland.
Do they produce everything for themselves?
Yes.
So if like the electricity got caught between everything, they'd just be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if New Zealand is as well. Possibly. Time for another diversion. You know that world politics is not very happy at the moment, thanks to Donald Trump and things like that. Sorry, Annika, but you know. And there is a lot of interest that lots of billionaires are buying up property in New Zealand. Because if there is a great big nuclear war and the world gets destroyed, New Zealand's a good place to be. New Zealand doesn't upset anybody. It's got quite a nice climate and it's quite self-sufficient. Iceland would also be a very good place to be, but it's too cold.
They have like really good meat there.
New Zealand.
No,
Iceland, yeah, but don't tell anyone, otherwise everybody's going to want to go to Iceland.
No, they have really good meat because they catch the wild animals and then they feed it to people, like foreigners. Nah, I'm foreigners. Yeah, people who
Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
Okay, now if we look back at, will it let me do it, last year? Yeah. We can actually see a difference in the annual amount of electricity that is produced and needed. We need more, surprise, surprise, in January, February, then it drops. Then we have the summer months and then it picks up again. What a surprise. We have a big seasonal variation in electricity because of heating costs. It isn't simply that we turn all the lights off in summer. It's actually the heating costs that make the biggest difference. And actually, even though we are capable of generating more at this point, we don't. It dips down because we're happy. We're tied into contracts to buy electricity all year round. It's summer, so maybe the workers go on holiday to their summer cottage, whatever. We keep relatively equal amounts. Now, we are in a country also where take things very, very slowly. Nothing too surprising happens, thankfully. It's good. And there's only one really popular programme on the TV every year, which everybody watches, which is... Sorry? Oh, there's two programmes everybody watches. There's Eurovision, and what has the biggest viewing audience always? Exactly. The President's Annual Party, where the whole nation watches the dresses. I don't get it. Now, luckily, that's December. Lots of electricity is being produced anyway. And it's in the evening. And Finns are very conscientious, and they do not put their coffee makers on in the evening because too much caffeine and they can't sleep, etc., etc., etc. But go to another country where crazy things might start happening at unpredictable times, like the British watching football. This is a very famous example. I have to admit, it's really traumatic. It brings up some bad memories. I was watching it. This is called a TV pickup, and this was. I'm looking at the yeah. This is ancient history. This is 1990. So you weren't even being thought about at that time. But I was sat at home, being the Brit. This is England versus Germany. And semi-final, the Euro 90s. And here we've got the British National Grid producing electricity. And just before kick-off, what happens, this is 30,000 megawatts. So between here and here is 1,000 megawatts. Is that really 1,000 megawatts? Yes, it is. Here to here, just before kick-off, what do the Brits do? Probably about 100,000 of them go and switch the kettle on. How many kettles worth of electricity were we selling to Estonia?
300,000.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's about a 300th of what we're getting rid of at the moment to Estonia. Okay. Kick off. People watching it first time. Oh my goodness, it's half time. 16,000 megawatts. 1.6 million kettles got switched on. That's the equivalent. That would floor the Finnish national grid. It wouldn't know what to do. Okay, because the grid is much, much smaller. It's not set up to produce so much electricity. But that level of pickup, absolutely huge. What happens again? Well, it's a draw by now. England, I believe, had been ahead and then had snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, let a goal in. Another 1.6 million kettles. But now the Brits, they've seen it all before. They go into extra time. Okay. I believe at that point, Britain scored. England scored in extra time. And some people dashed, maybe to the toilet and switched the light on. Okay. End of extra time. And then the penalty shootout. Oh my God, 2.8 million kettles worth. Yeah.
So is that the amount of electricity being used or produced?
Used.
And
It
when,
had to be produced without blowing the grid. So the grid had to be able to suddenly generate that much more. Now, luckily, the people running the grid looked at the schedule and said, oh poo, England, Germany, what always happens, penalties. We better be ready for this. Otherwise, there could be power outages.
but why does it go out, like go up when there's halftime and full time?
Because the Brits go and switch their kettles on and they need more electricity. Seriously,
So does it,
you can plot the progress of football games by the pickups on the national grid. A pickup means that suddenly loads more electricity is needed because consumers, the people watching, are demanding more electricity. Yeah, so this huge rise here literally was people going, right, time for a cup of tea. Don't knock it, it's what we do, and we do it well. Yeah.
Why is it like mostly going downwards? Like, are people just?
Because, not me, because I was a lot younger, but people were getting tired. They were going to bed. Yeah. This is bizarre, but there's a penalty shootout, so people are not going to go to bed if they've stayed up that late. So they're going to need caffeine. Yeah, and then what happens? Well, we lost.
But how do you actually know it's just a tea? What if it's just like? Like, how do you just choose that it's the tea or the kettle?
Right. If this data came in after the game, and this is a really famous graph, even though it's like 30 years old, it's still very useful. What else could suddenly cause, at that coincidental point, 1,600 megawatts more? 1,600,000 kilowatts more. A kettle is 1 kilowatt. So for that level of pickup, it's by no means the biggest in history of Britain. But that has to be people going to switch on kettles. It's a cultural thing. It's a crisis. We have to have a cup of tea. It cures everything, okay? Nuclear war, I'll just have a cup of tea. Okay? What would the Finns do? Go to the fridge, open the fridge, get a beer. Yeah? Putting the coffee on, it's not as instant a process, is it? Because you've got to fill it up with water, you've got to put the coffee in, it takes a little bit longer. That is a culturally significant graph. I know you're killing yourself laughing, but it's true. Yeah? There have been other cases where this has happened. The wedding of Princess Diana and Charles. Seriously. Diana's funeral. Everybody was watching Diana's funeral. Yeah? The hymns, the first hymn that came on. Everybody watched the coffin, it had come in, the first hymn. It's a hymn, it's boring, we'll go and have a cup of tea. Seriously. Yeah. Absolutely bizarre. One of the biggest pickups ever was on Christmas Day, when one of the famous soap operas had an amazing bit inside it, and there was a break. Seriously. But the companies have got to be prepared for this. If there was a case of, like, heaven forbid, but if I don't know, in May or so, before everybody's gone to their summer cottages, if there was a big terrorist incident and you've got something on your phone, like go and watch the TV. If everybody in Finland put their TV on at once, then there might be a big pickup. But for instance, in the Finland-Sweden ice hockey finals, World Ice Hockey Finals, for a start, those matches happen every year, but because it's on at night, again, it's the beer rather than the tea being made. But there are pickups. The National Grid can pick these things up. So the president's annual party that's filmed, there will be a bit of a pickup, but nothing so dramatic as this. So world events, it's amazing how you can, if you were sitting back and looking at the data and thinking, what is actually happening here? That's really odd. What causes that level of pickup? Because the whole country is just having this demand. Very, very, very bizarre. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
I just noticed that it was like 5 minutes that it was like.
What, this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in a 5-minute period. Yeah, come on. You make your tea. You've got to then brew it. You've only got a 15-minute break in the game. You've got to get your tea perfect. Yeah. There are. It's really bizarre when these things happen. So, I mean, when the Queen dies, and that will be televised, there will be a massive. Yeah, there'll be a massive one of these again. When their hymns at a funeral or stuff like that. So, yeah. You can't plan for stuff like that. Turn your phone off. Stop taking the selfies. Annika, stop taking selfies. This lesson isn't that memorable. Right. Oh no, that's just too tragic. Yeah.
So did Germany win?
Yes. They always win. England have gone out about 4 or 5 times on penalties to Germany. It's really embarrassing. Okay. Yeah, I know, it's exciting. Next graph. It's amazing what you find. Statistics Finland. It's a really interesting site. You can look up how many elk collisions there were in 2013, stuff like that. Seriously, you can. I mean it. Like everything. This is energy. Finnish travel railway statistics.
Oh, I thought L.
Elks. Wages, salary, population.
It's like 2
Where was I? I've got to go back to the link. There's too many layers in this. Okay. So here we have the total energy consumption. I've got to admit, don't know what final consumption is compared to total energy. I haven't looked that up. In capital P, capital P, big J, petajoules. Is that a question or a stretch?
A stretch.
Petajoule. You have a joule. A kilojoule is 1,000. Mega, million. What's next? Tera, a billion, and then peta. Yeah, terabyte. So a petajoule is how many zeros?
Like
12.
12. Yeah.
12.
12. 12 zeros. Okay. Now, we are trying, because it's not some hoax put out by China, we are trying to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions in comparison. So, this red line luckily, is dropping. Our energy consumption, actually, we would like that to drop. Yeah.
I think that between Tera and Mega, there should be Giga. Isn't that Mega, Giga, Tera?
Didn't I say giga? Sorry if I didn't.
Yeah.
Kilo, mega, giga, tera, peta.
Yeah. So that's at like 15.
Giga is 10 to the 9. Oh, sorry, tera is 10 to the
Yeah.
12. 10, 15 zeros.
Yeah, 15.
Even more. That's a lot of energy for a little nation. Yeah.
Can we see these like statistics and like the plane tracker and stuff and like these things for North Korea too? Or is that like classified?
That's classified. North Korea don't even believe in the internet. No, this is Finland. Finland's really, Finland, you can look up everything and anything. Flight tracker, we can go back and have a look at North Korea. I bet it's just nothing flying over.
But some things like in the parts that are curious, like is that you do fly to places there and show like places you can.
Yeah, highly restricted. There's some things you're not allowed to photograph.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether the USA would allow some of these statistics out. I don't know. Right. Let's get back to some physics. It's a sort of physics. Okay, we want our total energy consumption to decrease. This is looking good because our carbon dioxide emissions from fuel combustion are decreasing. This is really good. It means, even though this isn't going down, we must be generating more energy from non-CO2 sources, which is really good. Okay. Right, I think it's probably time to do some notes. What do you mean, no? You've been listening to me for so long.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Is it? You sure about that? Causes of death. Nothing to do with physics. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?
They're the link.
That.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's just like that. Okay, no, I mustn't get distracted. Okay. Okay, right. We've only got 10 minutes left for notes anyway. I've talked a lot. So, distributing I've just realised poor Anna has got to teach this lesson to 9B on Friday. She usually watches. Sorry, Anna. Okay. Electricity is taken around the country using a network of high voltage cables called FinGrid. High voltages are more efficient than lower ones. But even so, in some parts of Finland, it is easier to import electricity from abroad.
Oh yeah, you can. Oh yeah. But that's
You on my sweater.
Oh yeah, there's two Mariana.
Okay. The amount of electricity produced is usually accurately predicted and controlled. How many L's in controlled?
2.
Thank you. You know these things. You're so clever. I just look at them and think, do they look right? And then I realise that I don't know if they look right or not, because English is so silly. The amount of electricity produced is usually predicted and controlled, as it is also run as a business. So must be economically viable.
Can you scroll up? Thank you.
Up, like that, down.
Like now. Yeah.
Okay. The electricity amount changes over the year. Seasonally. Bless you. In 2016, the the electricity consumed was, going to look it up.
Okay.
It has to be
1,300
Down.
PJ.
Yeah, you should be like this now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What did we agree peta was? How many zeros? 15.
Oh, right, yes.
What's the population of Finland? 6 million?
About
5.
For like
5.74.
No. What is this?
it is a little bit. I thought that was it. But it was little, but it's different. That was
Getting my zeros confused. 10 to the 10 to the 18, 10 to the 12 joules per person.
No, you need to have heavy like a hammer. No, like seriously.
Yeah, I know, but.
Is this me? Me? It's me.
What is this?
I tried calculate.
Who's that? No, he's not reading.
If I'd got the numbers right, I could make you do this, but I'm not going to. That is 55,000 kilowatt hours per person. So that over the year is the equivalent of 55,000 kettles being switched on for an hour. It's an English unit of electricity, the kettle type. That's not so bad. It's much, much, much more than our own electricity bills, because this includes the electricity for the railways, it includes the electricity for municipal heating, for all industry, hospitals, etc., etc., etc. But that's how we get our average carbon footprint and stuff like that. Okay. I don't even know how to say good luck to you in Swedish. I'm sorry.